Good morning, autumn. Let's go paint this autumn landscape in acrylic paint. To begin with, I want to do a little bit of a vantage point, imagining that I am sitting out on a knoll looking out at the landscape under a tree. So I'm going to bring those branches in. Like all of my work, I kind of do a light sketch of how I want my painting to be structured. So here I just want to put nice little delicate motions to indicate a further mountain range, which will be in the back, as you can see, with the lighter browns, and in the forefront, a darker cascade of greens and burnt umber. We have a nicer pathway to this vantage point. Whenever you're doing mountains and different layers, often that forefront is darker in shade. And so I just want to put a light color now, later building it for the autumn colors. Let's go focus on the leaves. My main objective here is to get gentle little shapes of leaves, giving it a 3-point indication. And it's kind of at the beginning, definitely less formed, but the intention is to give it the structure that I want. Now, like all branches, we do see the background as well. So I do want to leave some of that white from the canvas coming through. Just feeling it out, putting in my second layer of these gorgeous autumn colors, my favorite season. And here with my leaves, it's not so much about mixing it. It is about layering. My foreground and background with our mountain range, our low hills, will be more blended, but my leaves are more about giving different layers of colors and shapes rather than in blending. Giving a little bit of a highlight of that pretty yellow against the oranges, and tipping it off. And of course, when you're layering, things do blend, but it is a little more crude blend than what I'll be doing down below. Giving the little points to these leaves. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just needs to have a little indication. And down below you can see I'm starting to build those autumn colors and suggestions. This is why down below I am choosing to really blend it in so that landscape really gives the indication of our autumn. And I imagine the sun hitting those further mountain ranges as the autumn season blossoms in the morning. I want to bring in a little bit darker color here. I take red and brown and mix it in so I can just give some of that maroon hint down below. And at first I wasn't going to paint the edges, but I'm feeling that I need to continue the story just for the landscape portion here. And define it a little more with dark. Again, defining that foreground against the background, which is catching that morning autumn sunshine. You can see the reds peeking through. Maroon is a very pretty color. And just getting rid of any white that might be down below. into the background. And continuing that story on the side of the canvas so that when I look at my little mini canvas, I'll be able to see the full story. And just to note, when I'm placing the paint, it's okay for it to have little gobulars, little dynamics and depth, the actual texture. Building a story with paint, whether you make it a smooth surface or a textured surface, and because I think of autumn leaves as being crunchy at times, I like to have that story translated in my painting here. And I definitely want to add in a little darker color. And the reds giving it even more depth to this branch. Just making suggestions of the color. Doesn't have to dominate the whole thing. Balancing it off on the other side, giving little tiny edges, suggesting those shapes of the leaves. And building on the top. Again, with autumn, it's all about the layers. And as you can see, I vacillate. I get into the darker, then I want to highlight it with a lighter color. Whatever way you want to do it is going to be perfect. Giving a little more shape to some more leaves as I continue to build out my branch. Not so crazy about these two branches touching, so I take water and a little paper towel and just wipe off a little bit of that connection. I kind of like it separate, leaving a little tension between the left side and the right side. Again, the big suggestion here when doing the leaves is really trying to figure out fine little points, and if you can make them in little triads, that just gives a nice hint of a leaf on a branch. Adding those little highlights at the end, the orange. Just really kind of fine-tuning it. Last minute details on my lower portions, but I'm starting to really feel like I'm coming to the end of my painting here. A few more little dark spots. constantly evaluating, like all of my work, the balance of my canvas, making sure that in the perspectives, I like the weight of the right versus left, the top versus bottom. And this feels good for me. As you can see, we have some nice texture in our branches and blends down below in the foreground and background. I am really happy that I put the sides to match the top of the canvas. Mini canvases are really fun because you can put a lot on a little canvas, and you can see that the top portion comes out a little bit with that texture. I sure love all these little paints and acrylics. Thank you so much for joining me today and playing with some acrylic paint to make an autumn landscape in the morning. It really is my favorite season of the year. I'm always wishing you happy acrylic painting creations. Have a great day.